Okay, we are live, and we're gonna have some fun. You ready for me, Todd?
Oh, let's do it.
Okay. On today's episode of Playing Small is Cancelled, we have a powerhouse guest who is redefining the landscape of sales and marketing big facts. He's the number one best-selling author of Accelerating Yes, a global speaker, and a digital marketing visionary, Big Facts. His foresight and innovation have made him the go-to strategist for billion-dollar corporations, luminaries, and world leaders alike. With his visionary guidance, industry giants have elevated their sales and marketing strategies to unprecedented heights, solidifying his reputation as a trailblazer who continuously stays ahead of the curve. During the pandemic, Tony Robbins entrusted him to train over 1,500 salespeople, which skyrocketed revenue, having him become a global sensation. He's just a juggernaut in all facets of life and a terrific human being. Please welcome the dynamic, innovative, and game-changing, the handsome and abundant Todd Hartley.
Yes, and abundant. Craig, great to see you, my man.
It's great to see you, man. Love getting together with you every time. It's so much fun, so
Yeah.
valuable. And it's kind of like July 4th Eve today, so just good vibes all around. I'm super pumped.
Look, I think people are in for a treat. Like for anybody that wants to accelerate revenue or you want to get your life to the next level, this is going to be one of those drop everything conversations because we're going to put it all out on the table and impact your end goal results.
I love it. I love it. And I couldn't agree more. As always, before we get started, I like to kick off with a little icebreaker. Ready for me?
Yes, let's do it.
What does it mean for you, Todd, to live an authentic life?
Well, I think part of it is being really candid. You know, a lot of people that reach their big vision, I think you've got to be really candid with people about the ass kickings along the way and what you learned and the struggles, because when people see you, they think it's easy because they aren't privy to all the moments of pain and doubt and frustration. And I think it's part of your responsibility. If you want to live an authentic life and if you want to be an inspiration and help pull other people up, to lay it out on the table and not just make everything look like it's polished and perfect.
I love that. That's where we could drop the mic right there. We're just getting warmed up. And isn't it so interesting how people tend to gravitate towards authenticity? And oftentimes that means far from perfect because it's more relatable anyway, right?
Yeah. First thing that great speakers do is they are vulnerable when they walk on stage. Now, a polished speaker that's like needs to be seen as perfect doesn't do this. But if you can walk out there onto the biggest stage in the entire world and in 60 or 90 seconds be vulnerable as an opportunity to show the audience that you're relatable and that you've been there and you've done that and you're just like them and that you've triumphed, all of a sudden you can feel while standing up there the whole room hugging you or moving in emotionally, energetically. And that really requires you to be vulnerable and to be and to not be polished and perfect, because perfection isn't the goal. In relationship development, that's not the goal, it's connection. So we always want to connect because once we connect with people, we can pull them along the journey and help guide them.
That's right. Yeah. And then they're more available to even be coached and to possibly tap into more help.
Yeah, I mean, we've all had this experience. We've been on a flight across the country. We've sat next to somebody. We don't know them from Adam. And one of the two of you shares something that might be a little bit personal. And when you get off that flight, all of a sudden you bonded with them. Like as a thought leader, a guru, as a speaker, as a business leader, a salesperson, when you make that vulnerable connection with people, they see you completely differently. They see you as a safe place.
100%. 100%, brother. There's so many places we could take this conversation. I want to make the most of every second.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some of the really cool things that you're up to now. And I think this might be a good segue. And I would say you're probably the best in the world at this. And that is understanding and portraying the importance in your messaging in regards to marketing, but specifically how we can make it more efficient. And one of the ways that you love to talk about is by doing video messaging in regards to your messaging. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's really funny. And thanks for bringing it up. It's funny to me because people have trained themselves to confuse efficiency with comfort. And throughout their workday, they've done all of these things that they claim to be efficient, but are really just something they know how to do. And thus they're comfortable doing it. I'll give you an example. People are really comfortable, Craig, using email. Like, email is their jam. I used it in college. I use it now. This is the way I communicate with my prospects. But 80% of the time, the email never gets opened, which means you just blew a lot of your time thinking you're being efficient when the truth is you're just being comfortable and you're hoping to win deals. And as soon as people realize that they can deliver more clarity into their prospect's head, which is one of the psychological needs that every buyer needs to have before they're willing to say yes, and they can deliver more credibility or certainty, the second psychological need a buyer has to have, and they can develop the ability to collaborate amongst business partners or spouses on your solution, which is the third psychological need, collaboration. When you do that in a video, now all of a sudden the salesperson is actually efficient because they're there in the decision-making room when their competitors are just a PDF on top of a table. So the people that close the most deals, like 75% more deals, are the ones that are putting their face on camera and then walking their prospect and their collaboration team through the process. And most people, most business leaders and salespeople think they've made their day efficient. But the truth is, you're efficient when you close more deals, not what's comfortable for you. And people have confused that.
Yes, they have. And you know why I love this conversation besides the many reasons? This isn't niche. Everybody is selling themselves in some capacity, product, service, relationship, whatever, right? Not just for people that have like are entrepreneurs in digital marketing space. Yes, it is for those too. What do you think the biggest limitation or hurdle people have that prevents them from putting themselves out there, leaving their comfort zone and being open to doing a video?
Yeah, most people are terrified to put themselves out there. And when they send an email, they've got some protection. But do you know who gets hired today? It's not the best and not the one with the most experience. It's truly not the best. Look no further than a celebrity chef. The person that gets hired today is the best known. So our job in the sales process is to be known by our prospects and trusted. And the way that we do that is we create little videos, little 2-minute videos, if they get confused in the deal. Instead of like sweeping that under the rug and hoping they figure it out on their own, what about just putting yourself on camera and looking into the lens and walking your prospect through the confusion? Because what they're going to see you as their trusted advisor that's going to go above and beyond and play at another level that's going to serve them. And when you do that, like the people that went through my training last year closed over $6 billion in deals. And it's easy. Like salespeople in any industry or even mom and pops all have the opportunity to close at a freakish rate. And what I love about it is you're just elevating your ability to communicate with clarity so people can understand in their brain that you have their best interests at heart.
I love it. So let's say someone is willing to put out videos and up the ante and level up. What in a video can they utilize? What tools can they add to their video messaging that can make them even more effective?
Yeah, awesome. Great question. So one of the things that they could do is first realize that nobody's expecting Spielberg productions from your business. They aren't. Like no Ewoks going by. These videos don't have to be great. You don't have to have a Kardashian glam squad like airbrush your face and blow out your hair. What you do need to do is look into the lens and then put your information up on the screen and walk people through it so they can watch it a couple of times. And when they do that, they'll see you as somebody who's going to go above and beyond. And that's really the person that ends up winning the deal.
Yeah, I love it. And some people think they have to have charisma or be entertaining. Yes, that possibly helps. But also if you're educational, if you're authentic, if you speak directly to them, like you said, if you grab them right? Don't be boring. All these things are probably useful, I imagine.
Craig, I've got people that are not comfortable on camera that have closed $10 million deals.
I believe it.
And when you watch the video, you might say to yourself, well, they might not be the best on camera, but that's not what's required in order to win more deals. And I have people that are in other countries using these strategies that are closing multi-million-dollar deals, and they're using English as their second language, talking to prospects who speak English. It's not required for you to be a polished communicator or all your teeth going in the right direction. It's not required. What is required is that you give people a sense of clarity on the solution, and you show them that you've got credibility so they don't think that they're hiring you for the first time and you're going to figure it out on their dime, and that you give them the ability to make a smart decision that's thoughtful. And I'll tell you, I'll hire anybody that goes above and beyond for me. And you know who I hate hiring? The people who won't. The ones that I got to chase around all damn day. I'm like, where are they? I'm paying them. Like, those are the people that I hate. So if you just demonstrate on the front part of the relationship that you're willing to like step up and help that person and share your wisdom, you're going to win significantly more deals. And that's the gap between the pain and the frustration that you're currently in and where you've envisioned yourself going. And it's all about just elevating ourselves to the next level.
You know what's so crazy? First, I couldn't agree more. What you just described, the trait that you look for, really comes down to effort. And effort is available to everybody, is it not?
Well, yes, but there's a lot of business leaders and salespeople that operate with the mindset of it's HGS. All these business leaders and salespeople do an HGS. They've got hot girl syndrome. Like, they don't have to work that hard. Like, they're going to send one email and then people are going to reply. But the truth is 44% of salespeople quit, and business leaders quit on the deal if one message doesn't get replied to.
That's crazy.
44%, they've got hot girl syndrome. And 85% of all deals require the business leader or the salesperson to send 5 unanswered messages to their prospect. That's 85% of the deals require you to push through 5 ghosting scenarios. And most people aren't emotionally prepared to play the long game, but that's where the win is.
100%. The follow-up game, the long game, build that vessel, create the rapport, go the extra mile, and then the empty mile. It's so crazy. It makes me wonder, like, if you're going to be in sales or you understand the process, the more you do, the more you receive, you got to awaken that desire. If you're setting goals for things that you want to close or be more effective, you have to awaken the desire for that. And then you go the extra mile, you follow up with them. Do you know anyone else that might need the service or whatever the case may be? So much being left on the table.
There's so much being left on the table, and so many leads that are dribbling out at different stages in the process, not to be realized as revenue. Just the first meeting, the no-show first meeting, on average, 30% of businesses have a first meeting no-show, which means 30% of the lead that they paid for one way or another doesn't show up. And you know what they do? They sweep that under the rug. Instead of realizing you get what you tolerate, what if they just said, I'm not going to tolerate 30% not showing up. I'm going to learn strategies that are going to pull those people into the meeting where I can pour into them and add value and then move them through my process. And that's when your sales process, your pipeline goes from this small, you add another 30%, it gets bigger. And then when it gets to the end, now you're celebrating more often.
You get what you tolerate. I mean, that is $1 billion nugget right there.
It's actually Tony Robbins' line, man. And I've been in the back of the room. I think last year I did 15 appearances for Tony. I've been in the back of the room. And when he uses that line on the audience, I'm telling you, it's like a 2x4 in the middle of my head. Yeah. All I can think about is all the stuff that I've decided that I'm going to tolerate. And then I look around and it's everywhere in business and in relationships and even in your conversion rate. But what if you flip that all around and you no longer tolerated it and you elevated what your expectations were? You're going to get significantly better results.
That's so good. Unbelievable. And one of the great things about specifically video messaging is for those that are shy or feel uncomfortable or introverted, whatever the case may be, I just want to reiterate, this is a skill that anybody could develop, and it gets better.
Oh,
you have a mastermind coming out that's just about this, correct?
I do. And I don't even think you got to put your face on camera. Like if you aren't comfortable with it and you just created a video where you walk them through the proposal and you used your voice, like that's a tool and an instrument also, but not doing anything, or maybe I should say submitting a boring proposal that's going to end up probably not even be opened as an email, that's no longer efficient. And winning is the only efficiency. Yes, I've got a mastermind coming up in 4 weeks. I teach businesses and individual leaders how to use video situationally in their sales process to end ghosting, to end the no-show meeting, to close proposals. And in doing so, we see regularly 75% more revenue generated just by educating your prospects in a slightly different way that allows you to stand out. And what I love is the transformation. Like I just had a guy who for 2 years, Craig, was telling me, I don't want to be on camera and I don't really like the idea. I mean, I know it's going to work, and for 2 years, he'd see me at events and he'd come up and I'd have the same conversation with him. He just sent me the message last week that in 4 months from the last training that I did with him and the group, he almost tripled his revenue. But yet he waited 2 years full of pain and frustration because he wasn't sure he was ready for the next level.
What does that mean, ready?
Well, there's a lot of people that think they've got to lose weight, or maybe they've got to, be at that point where they're more confident about themselves. But you know what really creates confidence more than anything? Closing deals. Like it clears up complexions, it fixes wallets, it allows you to add on to your home and go on vacation. Yeah, I mean, winning is contagious.
Yeah. Real quickly, how can people sign up or find out more about the mastermind?
Yeah, it's simple. They can just blow up my DM on any of the social networks, on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook. Just hit me up. I'll get you to where you can talk to somebody that can answer your questions. The coolest thing is impact. And because I've been able to do this for Fortune 500 companies, like many of these companies on the shelf back there that we've won awards for, and it wasn't until I did this for Tony Robbins' companies and he pushed me out onto the stage and was like, you got to teach this to people, that I realized that it actually worked brilliantly for almost every industry, for B2B and B2C. It doesn't matter if you are selling to one person or multiple people or what size it is. People deserve to hear from you in a way that they can play the button and share it with their partner or their spouse or their business executive team. And that's where real revenue and growth accelerates.
Mic drop. And a wise person once said that if you're ever going to get discovered and really extend your reach, you got to put yourself out there. And that wise man was you. And I saw it in your content today.
Right on. Well, it's true. I mean, like everybody, I hear people complaining, like, I need marketing for lead gen. I need more leads. I hear salespeople, like when I come to a $1 billion company and I'm being walked back, the sales leader often will look at me and be like, hey, dude, can you just get us more leads? And what they're saying is, are 20% conversions good enough? Can you just pump more leads through the process? And then they sit back in their office, bro, and they're like, can somebody get me more leads? When really all they need is to take better care of the leads that they've already got. Like, I just think it's so interesting that people would pay for more leads in an inefficient system instead of just finding the areas inside their system to operate with greater clarity. And when they do that, they need less leads because they're converting more and now they've got more time.
So good. So many nuggets, brother. All right, we'll do two more and we'll land the plane. I saw you also say this, and I thought it was so profound. It's worth mentioning today. Never let your insecurities eclipse your desire to serve others.
Yes.
Tell me
Right.
more. Yeah.
Well, I'm not in love with my forehead, right? Like my hair is like, check it out. My hair is going back far. I'm applying more product. But would I ever allow my insecurity to keep me from playing at my highest level? Absolutely not. And my highest level is me serving people. Like when I get to work with people, I get to pour into them. So I look at this like I could be shy and I could be insecure, but what I really want to do is love on clients and help them win more often and celebrate with their family. So I have to make sure that my vanity doesn't outweigh my desire and willingness to serve. And once I've got that in place, like great things, just check this out, bro. When Tony Robbins reached out to me and asked me to train each of his companies, I said yes, and I was honored. I got maybe 7 trainings with 1,500 employees. What I didn't tell Tony is we were on the phone. I was bandaged, going through skin cancer right here in the center of my nose. For 13 weeks, they were doing 3 surgeries to rebuild it, taking skin from over here. I could have missed that magic moment in my life if my vanity, my need to look like a friggin' GQ model, outweighed my desire and willingness to put myself out there and serve people.
Yeah. Spiritually speaking, that's operating an ego consciousness. And guys, for everybody listening, that's not the right consciousness. That will only get you so far. When you share without an agenda, not need recognition, and share for the right reasons, miracles, blessings, you have a bigger capacity for all that stuff.
Yes.
So anytime you're feeling insecure, it's really all about you then. And then it's not about who you're serving. And as long as you can identify that, you can snap into the other consciousness.
Yes. And I'm willing to bet that most people in the audience have such a love for the breakthrough and transformation, the impact that they provide, that they find themselves over coffee giving advice to absolute strangers without being compensated. And if that's the case, what if you loved your prospects that way? What if you fought for your prospects with that same love? In doing so, you gave them an asset that they could give to their business partners who don't know you from Adam, and they push the button and they can get influenced by you. Like that's where real breakthrough and closed deals comes from.
Yeah, and that's the correct consciousness. And I love that you said that, brother. This is so much fun. Last nugget, and then we'll end with something fun. I know you and I have had some private conversations about this, but how big of a role or not does spirituality or your spiritual practices play in building your business?
Well, business is a spiritual game. And so is growth and maturation. And so is surrendering yourself to a higher power, because we're here to serve. It's a huge part for me. Like, I think I've been given specific talents to serve people, and I would be miserable if I didn't get to help people have that impact. So for me, the first act of my day is just like the act that happens inside of your heart. Like, I've got to take care of myself and serve myself. The first action of the heart is it takes oxygen depleted blood and it squeezes and pushes that depleted blood into the lungs, and it automatically comes back through the heart. So the heart's first act is an act of loving self-kindness. What about all of you? Like, shouldn't your first act of the day be an act of getting yourself spiritually centered and also exercise so you aren't angry going through the day because you didn't take care of yourself first? The first act of your day should be an act of loving self-kindness. And then everything you do after that is just you going out and spreading love and doing it in a way that God would be very proud of, because you're doing his work here on earth.
Yeah. You're such a stud. I'm so proud of you and I love you. So there's that.
Thank you. I feel the same way, brother.
Yeah, this is so good. With a replay too, and we're gonna put that on all our platforms. Let's have some fun. It's July 4th Eve. Let's land the plane with a little rapid fire, maybe 1 or 2 word answers. Are you ready for me?
Let's do it.
Favorite movie?
Well, that's a really tough one, but I think Forrest Gump's like one of these perfect movies because there's so many great parts in it that tell a really great story, great takeaways, classic scenes. Forrest Gump, final answer.
Iconic. Your last meal on Earth would be?
Probably crab legs. Like I got a thing for king crab, and that's what my wife and I do every Super Bowl Sunday or college football game, big college game. We get crab legs, open up some wine, sit down, go slow, crab legs.
Sounds unbelievable. Favorite guilty pleasure?
Uh, that's good. Oh, I know what it is. I travel all over the world for, as a speaker. So, or to train companies. I know every one of these airports that have like gourmet covered like popcorn with like chocolate and caramel. And I'm super clean eater because that's the way we keep it. But when I'm coming home from a business trip, watch out. Like I got nacho cheese on my fingers on the plane, and I am comforting myself the whole way home.
I love it. So good.
It's not going to be in our cupboards when we get here. So I better get it in me.
Of course. A couple more. I think I know the answer to this one based on what you did this morning, but maybe not. Your favorite workout?
Well, I love hiking. My wife and I bought a house on top of a mountain in Scottsdale. Our hiking trail, instead of us driving 15 minutes to get to our favorite trail, we go right out of it's our driveway, takes us right onto our trail. And we've got a good 3.5 mile and 5 mile hike. And it's awesome. This morning, baby deer, like everywhere, like they were fresh out of the oven and they can barely stand on their legs. And it was awesome seeing them. And that's mostly what my phone photos are made of, are deer that we see on our hike in the morning.
I love it. Okay, 2 more. Your favorite book?
I really liked Unlimited Power from Tony Robbins. It was my first experience with Tony. I was 12, he was 25. I was struggling with depression, learning disabilities, dyslexia, and my grandfather talked me through the book that he was reading. And that was my first realization of the power of the mind and how you can work through any of your limitations to create the life that you were meant to live.
I love it. I didn't even know about that one, if I'm being honest. It's great.
1985, brother.
Wow, the year I was born. Awesome. Last one, very, very deep stuff. Your favorite musician?
Easy. I grew up in a beach town. We didn't know there wasn't any other musicians. We didn't listen to rock. We didn't listen to anything other than reggae. So Bob Marley is the king. And probably every Bob song is just imprinted in my brain. And I think he's a master lyricist.
That's
Incredible.
awesome. I'm not so familiar, but I really wanted to see the movie. I haven't yet. Did you see it?
I did. My problem was we watched it at home, and his accent man is a little hard. So I wish I would have had subtitles on, but I couldn't get the subtitles. But I thought it was pretty good, and I think it was a great date night for my wife and I.
Fair enough. Awesome stuff. For our listeners, where's the best way they could support? I know you told us how to get involved with the mastermind. How can they follow you along? Just your handle on all platforms?
Yeah, I'm Todd Hartley on LinkedIn and Facebook, and also on Instagram, the Todd Hartley, because I got beaten out by a pastor in Florida named Todd Hartley who beat the marketing guy to his handle on Instagram before he did. So the Todd Hartley over there.
Love it. Love you, brother. Love doing live with you. Thank you so much for stopping by and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets today, Todd.
Anytime, my man. I love supporting you. And for anybody out there, I think one of the great things is Saturday morning with a little bit of coffee and watching this dude drop some bombs. So thank you very much for the service you provide us.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Hang up for 1 sec, Todd.